Ahoy neighborinos, guess what? I'm doing a giveaway. For a chance to win a copy of my newest book and learn the Simpsons secrets, then stay until the end of this video. Now, if you were to wander up to any diehard fan of The Simpsons and as much as utter the words the principal and the pauper, they will most likely fold their arms before declaring, "Worst episode ever," before disappearing into the bushes, refusing to admit that it even exists. And it's not just the fans either. Matt Groening, Simpsons creator, has openly admitted to hating this infamously divisive season 9 episode. So, why is this episode so hated amongst the Simpsons community? Let's fight our way through the flames of hatred and find out together. But very quickly, please take a moment to check that you're subscribed. Only a tiny portion of you who watch my videos are actually subscribed, you naughty lot. But when you tap that saucy red button, it helps the channel grow and it means that I can dedicate more time to produce more videos for you all to enjoy. So thank you. Anyway, back to the video. The episode opens with Seymour waiting for his mother to cut out his silhouette. But Agnes says she's sick of him and the house and so takes him out. Their journey lands them at Springfield Elementary, where the whole town is there to celebrate a surprise 20th anniversary for the principal. Emotional, grateful, and teary-eyed, Seymour enters the stage to thank everyone. Until he is interrupted by a man in a military uniform calling himself the real Seymour Skinner. Shocked and caught out, Seymour admits that he is an imposter and that his real name is Armin Tamzarian.
That man is the real Seymour Skinner.
We learn that the now uptight Skinner used to be a cool badass with a devil-may-care attitude. And way back when, while our own little James Dean knocked over a judge on his bike, he was shipped off to Vietnam to fight in the war. This is where he met Sergeant Seymour Skinner. This strong, disciplined figure took the badass rookie under his wing. And eventually he disclosed that when the war is over, he was going to go back to Springfield to become a principal. When disaster struck in Nam and Skinner was presumed killed in action, Armin took it upon himself to give Seymour's mother the bad news back in Springfield. But whether intentionally or not, Agnes mistakes him for her son. And so Armin didn't have the heart to tell the truth, so therefore he adopted Seymour Skinner's persona. And so he lived out the sergeant's dream. As it turns out, the real Skinner didn't die in Nam after all, but instead was imprisoned in a POW camp for 5 years before being sold to a Chinese labor factory. With the secret now out, Armin announces his retirement and the position of principal goes to Skinner.
Him.
Armin then dons his old leather jacket and leaves Springfield in his dust.
Up yours, children.
However, the town isn't impressed by the new Skinner and longs for the old one back, including his own mum. So the Simpsons family, always once for getting involved in shenanigans along with Agnes and Edna, convince Armin to come back. As for the real Skinner problem, they tied him to a chair and shipped him off all the way out of town and probably as far as Timbuktu. Armin is then legally renamed Seymour Skinner and so resumes the role of principal, and we are informed along with the town to act as though the whole thing never ever happened. This shocking reveal of Skinner being an imposter all along didn't sit right amongst many people, including the voice actor himself, Harry Shearer. So much so he said this to the writing staff. "That's so wrong. You're taking something that an audience has built 8 or 9 years of investment in and just tossed it in the trash for no good reason, for a story we've done before with other characters. It's so arbitrary and gratuitous, and it's disrespectful to the audience." Some have even claimed that this was the moment the show jumped the shark completely. YouTuber Entertain the Elk even marked this episode as the day The Simpsons died, effectively ending the golden age of The Simpsons forever. Now, personally, I wouldn't go that far. In fact, I don't think that this episode is even that bad. It's not enough to condemn The Simpsons episodes from this point to a metaphorical trash can ready for Homer's team of garbage men to come and clean up. Although Skinner could be an uptight stick in the mud, we are now privy to seeing just how much he means to the entire town when they throw him a giant tribute night. The moment he says goodbye to his beloved school is genuinely touching, as is his heartfelt moment with Edna, who doesn't care what his real name is.
I don't care what you've done. You're still a decent, honorable man.
And I genuinely love it when Agnes softens when calling him her real son, demanding that he comes back home.
Now you march yourself downstairs and get in that car!
Yes, Mother.
His departure made the people around him appreciate all he does, being Agnes's doting son because he couldn't bear seeing her upset, and being the beating heart of Springfield Elementary, so much so that even Bart misses him just a tiny bit. Ultimately, the biggest issue people have with this episode is that they believe it retcons a beloved character, and I completely get that. But apparently, this was always intended to be a standalone episode. The showrunners always planned for The Principal and the Pauper to be self-contained, separate from the main show's continuity. Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein described the ending of the episode as an attempt to reset the continuity and allow fans to consider that the episode is non-canon.
Under penalty of torture.
Much like the Simpsons spin-off Showcase and later Behind the Laughter. Let's not forget that it was Josh Weinstein and Bill Oakley who were behind the episodes Who Shot Mr. Burns, an episode which literally opened up how cartoons spoke to the audience. A poignant example being in the Who Shot Mr. Burns episode, Dr. Hibbert supposedly asks us if we can solve who fired the shot, but is actually posed at Wiggum behind the camera. And so, very similar to how Judge Snyder ends the episode warning the town of severe punishment if they mentioned what actually happened to Seymour Skinner. The way he looks around the frame could infer that he is threatening us too. But back to the topic of continuity. Aside from a few references later on,
That's really a cheat, isn't it?
I guess you're right, Principal Tamzarian.
the new seasons like to pretend that this event never happened. We see a flashback of when Armin Tamzarian kicked Agnes in the womb, causing her to lose the pole vaulting in the Olympics, which doesn't make sense if The Principal and the Pauper was canon. Aside from the annual Treehouse of Horror episodes, we've gotten so many other non-canon episodes, such as the Simpsons Bible Stories and Season 12 Simpsons Tall Tales. Not to mention the many future-themed episodes like Lisa's Wedding and Bart to the Future, which have made my timeline videos increasingly complicated with each new release of a future-themed episode. This allows the writers to get creative and wild without the worry of the plot holes and inconsistencies. It's kind of expected that we get at least one non-canon episode per season, with the likes of The Surfsons, The Man Who Came to Be Dinner, and Brick Like Me. These episodes let the writers get experimental and have a bit of fun with it. Of course, I believe that if this episode came out today, it will be perceived a lot higher. Not because of the supposed decline in quality, but because since then, we have been shown so many other standalone episodes, and know that with The Simpsons, anything can and does go. Even now, if you were to go into watching it with the mindset that The Principal and the Pauper is a separate standalone episode, I think you would enjoy it a bit more. But you judge for yourself, I don't want to put any words in your mouth. With all that being said, I'm not saying that this is the greatest Simpsons episode ever made. Hell, I won't even place it into my top 30, not amongst my precious flaming moes, but it definitely doesn't deserve the hate it gets. There's a whole lot of laugh out loud moments in the episode.
When I grow up, I want to be a principal or a caterpillar.
And of course, some really sweet moments too. Martin Sheen also did a fantastic job as well, voicing the real Skinner.
Are you asking me out?
And guess what? There's another side to this episode that many have completely missed, including myself. As I do with every one of my videos, I was reading the comments to my video titled, "Is this the most tragic Simpsons character ever?" This was when one particular comment stopped me in my tracks. User JoseC626 believes that the most tragic character ever in the show isn't Selma, Moe, or Mole Man, but instead Seymour, as in, the real Seymour Skinner. And the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. I mean, think about it. Seymour went to fight for his country in Vietnam, took soldiers like Armin under his wing, and was a superb leader. His dedication ended with him being captured and imprisoned in a POW camp before being sold to China and held at gunpoint to make shoes. When he finally was released, this war hero travelled all the way back home to find he's been replaced. His dreams have been stolen, his entire identity taken, and forgotten by all, including his own mother. To make matters worse, after trying out his lifelong dream as a principal, the entire town tied him up like barbarians and sent him packing on a one-way trip out of town, forced out of the place he was born, brought up, properly educated, and left before heroically going out to war, replaced and forever forgotten. His identity permanently adopted by a man who stole his life. And the thing is, he's not even a bad person. Far, far from it. So what if he didn't want to sit around for 2 hours while his mum cut out his silhouette? Who the hell would? I think ultimately Agnes missed that she didn't have anyone to push around anymore, especially seeing as she lives by herself. She grew accustomed to having a submissive son at her constant beck and call. He is shunned for doing nothing wrong but being himself. And come on, let's face it, you can't help but feel a bit sorry for the poor guy. And finally, I'm giving away 3 copies of my book, The Simpsons Secret, a cromulent guide to how The Simpsons predicted everything. And this is open to everyone worldwide. To be in with a chance of winning, just head over to my Instagram account and do just 3 things. Like this post, comment and tag someone who loves The Simpsons too, and follow at Simpsons Theory on Instagram. And you know what? That's it. I'll announce the winner next Sunday on the 26th of September. And of course, I'd like to thank my newest Flying Hellfish member, Luca Albert. And of course, we got the whole gang here. Meet my Flying Hellfish members. Timothy, who else but Zane, Liam, One Drummer Boy, Steve, Charlie, Sean, Stefan, Robert, Ashley, Glenford, Devin, Gadrak, Stephen, Edward, Anthony, Nicola, Jeffrey, Dominic, Cody, Jakku Star, GameBoss49, Chaz, Jeff, Gil, Shadu, Murray, Paul, Henry, Frank, Lucas Z, Omar, Eric, Thomas88, Dave, Samantha Rose, Rayleigh Mitchell, Laurent, Daniel, Charlie, Brendan, Jessica, Shivendra, Holly, Jason, Molly, and Jack.